Great. Okay, so thank you all for joining. My name is Joanna Blank. I'm an associate director here at CIEE. I've been with the organization for 10 years. I spent my first 5 years working on our inbound programming. So I was working with international college students to come to the US and complete internships and practice their business English. And for the past 5 years, I've been with the Global Navigator team. And this is a program that is near and dear to my heart. I studied abroad as a high school student, and it was a really life-changing experience for me. Helped me learn so much about myself and understand what I was interested in pursuing for college, and a potential career ultimately led me to be doing the work that I'm doing today. So I just love working with this age group. High school, such a transformative, important time in your life, a great time to have this experience, gain the independence that comes with studying abroad in this setting, and a really wonderful, enriching way to spend the summer. So thank you all for being here with us. We really love talking to you all throughout the whole process and helping your students have a successful summer abroad. We'll see a quick preview of, this is all from last year. Participants here. Oh.
Can't hear anything. Are we supposed to be able to hear something?
No, it's okay. It's just TikTok music.
Well, I don't see any video either.
Oh. I saw a message.
Yeah,
my audio wasn't great. Can you
freezing now? It keeps freezing.
That's okay. Can you hear me better now that I have the headset on? Okay, sounds better. Thank you.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Well, this is just to show what our students were doing on program last year. I highly recommend following us on social and from our CIE Global Navigators page. You can also find links to all of our city-specific social media accounts. So if you're really interested in Seoul and Rabat, a specific city, you can find us there and go back and see what summer was like for students last year on program. I think more important than the, a deeper dive beyond the fun video is this quote from a participant from last summer that really just speaks to the impact this program can have. So this student Quinn saying, "See, it was truly life-changing for me. It gave me the opportunity to pinpoint exactly what I want to do in my life and gave me directions to pursue my passion." So really great feedback to hear. And I just love this photo. I believe this is in Cape Town. Beautiful photo there. So we run in over 30 locations worldwide. Here's a look at our map. The updates that are not on here is that for this summer, we will not be running in China. We will be running a Mandarin program in Taiwan and our global entrepreneurship program in Singapore. So really excited about those locations. One thing that we'll get into later, but one thing that really sets CIE apart is that we are running in these locations year round. So right now we have college students, we have gap year abroad students, we have teach abroad students in these locations. So we are running all of our programming through CIE study centers that are staffed by full-time year-round employees. So we are very much immersed in the local culture in the communities. So a bit more about CIEE. We have been
in international exchange for 75 years. So we got our start shortly after World War II, wanting to bring folks together. We loaded up empty US Marine ships and filled them with college students and sent them to Europe to learn a language, go to college, make personal connections and start bringing a little bit more peace and understanding to the world through, human diplomacy. And that is still the core of what we do. We do programming that brings international students at the professional, college, and high school levels to the US. And then we also send high school, college, and young professionals abroad from the US. So moving around 30,000 participants in this matrix across the globe every year. It's pretty incredible. We are a nonprofit, mission-driven organization. And another thing that really sets us apart is our scholarship that we will get into a lot this evening. I know the deadline's next Wednesday, January 18th, so we'll talk a lot about scholarship, but there's no other study abroad organization that has the amount of scholarships available for high school students. So creating that access is really, really important to us at the core of what we do. So you may be thinking, what does a study abroad program look like? This is summer break. Is this just, a vacation? No, it is more than that. It is a very well thought out program that is tailored to the topic, to the location. We want this to be a mix of curriculum-based learning and then really bringing the curriculum, bringing the topic to life through the city, through the unique locations we're in, and the professionals that we have ties to. So typically Monday through Friday, students will be spending about 2 to 3 hours in their core topic, whether that's their language class or their topic of theater arts, creative arts, like we have here in this photo from Prague, learning about climate change, global entrepreneurship. So time really in the curriculum, and then getting to explore the city, getting to know the culture through activities and excursions. Some of our most popular ones that we try and run in every location are, a cooking class, a dance class, music class, an art workshop. So we know it's summer and we want to have fun too and get to practice the language and get to know the local cities that we're in. And then we also think it's important to build in some free time to explore that has parameters and expectations around what is safe and appropriate to do during free time. So we'll set those expectations when folks are abroad, but we also want to make sure students have some time to, hang out in the park and grab a gelato after school before heading back to spend the evening with their host family, for example. On the weekends, we will typically do a day trip to a nearby location, and then we'll also offer one overnight excursion to see another city or village a little bit further away. So getting to explore outside of the immediate program location. And of course, our CI staff and our program leader chaperones are on all of those weekend trips. They're really there throughout the whole week. We'll talk about their role as well. So our programs are kind of divided into two structures. We have our language and culture programs. These are all 4-week long. They're offered in 7 languages. Spanish and French are the only 2 languages that require prior experience. So if you are in Spanish 1 this year, or French 1 this year, you are good to go with our French and Spanish courses for this summer. That's because we don't offer a level 0 on those languages. All of the other 5, German, Italian, Arabic, Japanese, and Mandarin, are open to complete beginners. So what we do on all of our programs is before students leave, they will take the STAMP online language assessment. And that just gives us, it's not meant to be, a test you study for, you just show up, you give it your best, and it gives us a sense of your language level so that we can place students in small classroom sizes. So we teach languages really differently than they're taught here in US schools because we are immersed in the language, we work with local language teachers and we keep it super conversational. It's project-based, task-based learning. They're working towards a project at the end of each week. Each week has a theme that we're exploring and diving into, and we will group students in classrooms of 16 students or fewer, so we can keep it really conversational, keep those classroom sizes really small, and keep students with a group of peers who are at a similar language level. They'll take that same stamp test on the last day of the program, and then we share those results with you all, and it's really cool to see how much you gain, especially in speaking and listening if you're really dedicated to staying in the target language. We've been running these programs since 2015 and have seen that on average in 1 month on our program, students gain about the equivalent of taking a full year in high school because they are living the language and really in it 24/7. Of course, our local host families are a key part of that language acquisition, and they are really there to support students, help them learn the culture, be practicing the language, and we'll talk more about the role of homestays in a bit. Another opportunity with our language and culture programs is to earn 4 college credits. So we work with Tulane University, a very well-known, reputable university, to issue 4 college credits. So for an additional $150 later this spring, you can opt in to earn college credit. Everyone does the same course. So whether you do college credit or not, it does not add more homework. You don't do different assignments. It's the same course for everyone. It's really just that registration fee that we have to pay to Tulane to issue the transcripts. But how that works is in the late fall, you would receive 2 sealed official transcripts from Tulane showing that you had 4 college credits and the grade. And that looks really great on a college application to have some credits on your resume, you know, in your application already. And parents, if you're thinking about the cost of each college credit, you know, that $150 extra to get 4 college credits is a pretty good deal. So definitely encourage folks to take advantage of that. Here's some outcomes from last summer to kind of highlight our language learning. We had, I should say last summer in 2022, we had about 2,400 total students travel. And just over 1,200 of those, so about half, just over half, were on our language and culture programs. 81% of them showed growth in that pre and post stamp score. And then 46% of them earned the Global Seal of Biliteracy. So this is something that, based off of your post-program stamp score, if you reach the intermediate mid-level of proficiency, you are eligible to receive the Global Seal of Biliteracy. This is recognized globally. It's a fairly new initiative with Stamp and Avant, but it's great for college applications, job applications, recognizing the proficiency that you've achieved in the language, and we will automatically mail that to you. There's no cost associated with that. And then we had about 66% of our applicants take advantage of that college credit opportunity. So aside from our language and culture programs, we then have thematic programs. So these are for students who are really passionate about a topic or really curious about a topic. So a 3-week-long program, so a little bit shorter than our 4-week language programs. And they're focused around a theme. We have a lot of programs around STEM and climate change, both from the more scientific lens, like you can see here in our Costa Rica program, and also from the lens of how do you advocate for climate change policy. That's like our program in Denmark. So we have kind of both sides of climate change issues, a lot around art and culture, whether you're interested in really the studio art and being in Prague and really making things and making portfolio pieces, or theater arts in London, or if you're interested in art history in Rome, or K-pop in Seoul, South Korea is one of our most popular programs, and really learning about how K-pop has been influenced by history and tradition within South Korea, and how it's really changed modern culture and is pushing the culture forward. A really cool program there. We also have business programs, international relations programs, and then programs focused on social change and leadership. A lot of those social change programs and leadership programs are going to come with a pretty significant service learning hours component. So we do issue certificates. If your program offers 12 or more hours of service learning, you'll receive a certificate for that at the end. If your school has any requirements for graduating, that can be really good to keep in mind, or if you're in Key Club or Honor Society, anything with those hours for a requirement. It's good to get a good chunk of those done, and you're doing a really cool, interesting project because, like I mentioned, we're in the communities year round. A lot of our partner organizations who we're working with for our service learning hours, our college study abroad students work with them too, and we're really helping them year round, and we're focused on learning how do you design a project, how do you work with local partners to understand an issue and propose and create a project that addresses the issue in a culturally appropriate way that's going to be sustainable long term. And that's really important to us, is that these projects are sustainable. We're not just helicoptering in and painting buildings and leaving. It's very thoughtful in how we design those service programs. So let's talk a bit about our scholarship opportunities. We have over $5.4 million in funding that we give away every year, which is really incredible. This is thanks to a very generous donor. Her passion is language learning, so the majority of our financial needs scholarships are going to go to our language and culture program. So if your student is applying for one of the merit and financial needs scholarships, within the application, you'll be able to choose 3 programs that are of the most interest, and to give yourself the best shot at getting a scholarship, I highly recommend having at least one, if not more, language and culture program in that application. But these merit and financial needs scholarships will be a sliding scale covering anywhere from 10% to 100% of program tuition. All of our scholarships are academically competitive, so recognizing students who are high achieving in school, looking at your motivations for studying abroad, and really recognizing that you have made those significant accomplishments. And then what we'll do for the merit and financial need is we'll look at some basic financial information you provide and award anywhere from 10% to 100% of tuition based off of your family's financial situation. So this is available to current freshmen, sophomore, or juniors. You have to be a US citizen or permanent resident, and you cannot have traveled on this award in the past. Our merit scholarships, those will cover 10% of program tuition, and they are open to absolutely everyone, international students, alumni, repeat students. So if you recognize as a family that with your income, you don't have significant financial need, but you would like to receive and apply for the competitive academic merit scholarship, it looks great on college applications to say you've received a competitive scholarship. It's really good practice to apply for a scholarship, good practice for applying for colleges. And that 10%, of course, is nice to save a little bit there on your tuition. So here's what you can expect on these scholarship applications. And we are hosting every Wednesday. So today's Tuesday, yes, so tomorrow, so tomorrow the 11th, and then also Tuesday, January 17th, and Wednesday, January 18th, we will be hosting presentations to students to help them complete the scholarship application. So I'm going to drop that link to the virtual presentations right now. Let me just grab that. So if you want your student to come by to a student-facing presentation, we're really just gonna now through the deadline be focused on how to complete your application, how to submit all of the tasks. So here's the student-facing webinar application help. Let me just send you that link before I forget. Here we go. So within the scholarship application, there's 3 short essays. I always recommend students write these in a Word doc or a Google Doc so they can go through revisions and get feedback. A lot of the questions have multiple pieces, like multiple questions in one prompt. So just making sure they're responding to all of those. They'll upload a transcript. They'll get a teacher recommendation. It's not a formal letter of recommendation. It's completed online by the teacher and shouldn't take more than 10 or 15 minutes. They will need you, their legal guardians, to sign our terms and conditions. And then if you're applying for financial needs scholarship, you'll provide us with just the first page of your IRS tax form 1040. Basically, we are looking just at total income and number of household members so we can award the % of tuition. You can, it is totally fine to black out social security cards on your 1040. We do not need to see those. You can black those out. We just need to see the student who is applying listed as a dependent, and then the basic financial information. So scholarship announcements will go out in February. And when we announce those, we will let you know the amount of the scholarship received, and then you'll have your remaining balance, what's not covered by the scholarship that you will be responsible for covering. So I want to talk a little bit about program tuition. The prices for all of our programs vary a little bit. It's based off of the length of the program and primarily the city. You know, some locations are just more expensive to operate in than others. But all of our program tuition prices are extremely inclusive of everything you really need once you are there on program. So the big things they do not include are flights, a passport, a visa if needed. Most of our countries do not require a visa. And then pocket money for things like, you know, grabbing coffee with a friend, souvenirs you want to buy, getting bubble tea, that type of thing, just some pocket money. But it's important for us to have everything, all the big stuff included in program tuition so that when students arrive, they're all having the same high quality experience and they're not paying for things as they go. So that will include all of the accommodations, whether it's a homestay or in our thematic programs. A lot of them have shared accommodations such as dorms, hotel rooms, or hostels that cater towards youth. 3 meals a day, all of the activities and cultural excursions. So if we're going on a kayaking tour, that is included, a street art walking tour, that's included, museum entrance, everything, all of the activities, all of the teaching and the curriculum is included. It also includes 24/7 support in country and on the phone. And then also includes our INEX travel and medical emergency. So if students, you know, get sick, have to go to the pharmacy, have to go to the doctor, there's some coverage for that in there. And then local transportation. So you will be responsible for flights, but then, you know, once you touch down in Madrid, we have your Metro Pass that's covered, or however we're using for transportation, that's all included. So safety is always at the top of our mind. We wouldn't have been able to run these programs for 75 years if we weren't running them safely. We do have a very well experienced centralized health, safety, and security department who is constantly monitoring world events, both political and health, natural disaster. They are on top of it all and working with our local study centers to make sure they have emergency plans and make decisions to run or not run. Like, for example, in December, we made the decision to not run in China because it wasn't going to be, we weren't going to be able to deliver a full holistic program there, but some of the restrictions still in place. So we decided to move that program. So they're keeping tabs on all of that. Our local CIE team are really who your students are going to be spending their summer with. These are some amazing, highly educated professionals who have great experience working with students. They know what it's like to help students through the first, week or so where there's some culture shock or homesickness. They're there to look out for their well-being. The homestays play a big role in making our students feel welcome and at home, making sure they're well fed, getting good sleep, being taken care of. And then our program leaders as well. And I'll talk about them and their role a bit as well. And then we will talk about preparation, but also, students and parents have a role to play here in preparing and talking about what it is to make good decisions while you're abroad and follow the rules and generally, how to be safe. So setting up students for success, diving into this a little bit more. So I know there are always a lot of questions about, on program, right before departure, what's everything going to look like? And once you are accepted to the program and you've confirmed that you're traveling, you're fully enrolled, we go through an entire well thought out, elaborate pre-departure process. So this will be a lot through your existing My CIEE accounts where your student is completing the application, and anyone listed as the primary emergency contact, you have access to that My CIE account so you can see all of these readings and you can help with the tasks. So we'll be doing things like collecting health forms. Is there any, health concerns that we need to know about, be aware of? Do we need to help you with a learning accommodation, dietary restrictions, allergies, pet allergies, etc.? Collecting copies of your passports, helping you through the flight booking process, etc. Students will complete a self-paced online orientation through Canvas that introduces their host country specifically, as well as broader CIE structure and ground rules. And then all programs, we will run a virtual orientation. This is with our local staff, so you get to meet our teams in Sevilla, in Paris ahead of going, and they dive a lot more into the specifics for their site, and you get to ask questions. So really good opportunity there. And then a lot of orientation has on-site in terms of cultural norms, how to use transportation, how to get assistance when you need help, communicating with your host family about something, daily structure, schedules. We'll cover all of that in our on-site orientation. So program leaders play a really pivotal role throughout these programs. Our program leaders are primarily high school language teachers or teachers in the topics, or folks who have experience in the topic and experience working with high school students. So they are not in charge of delivering the curriculum. We hire those local language teachers, those local subject experts. So we're really getting the local perspective, but program leaders are with students throughout the entire day. So for every one CIE or every 12 CIE students, we will hire one program leader so that they are really providing that supervision, checking in, making sure students are doing well, helping to resolve any conflicts, questions. They're really their go-to person. And it's great, one reason that we hire primarily US program leaders is because they have experience working with US high school students, and they can help with that cultural perspective and cultural bridging and knowing what some of the experiences and feelings of the students might be in that different culture and just helping them navigate that. And then of course we have our local staff. So they are running our programs year round. They are really immersed in the communities. They know local experts that you wouldn't be able to hear from if you were just there as a tourist, able to get really great guest speakers. And they are working busily now on your curriculums and your schedule and booking all of those great cultural activities, and they're throughout the student stay. I'm going to talk a bit about accommodations. So our language and culture programs are all in a host family setting. This is going to include our programs in Taiwan. I saw that question in the chat. So our Mandarin language and Taiwanese culture program, the plan is to have host families. So our year-round staff, they are recruiting and signing up host families now. So a lot of this is done through community connections, host families who have hosted with us before or hosted college students, referring friends, repeat families who host year over year. But what our local team does is they really carefully vet these families. They go and do a home visit to make sure the space is appropriate, it's clean, it's safe for our students, making sure it's within a reasonable commute. That's going to look a little bit different in each city. You might be in a location where a 30-minute commute is pretty typical, or if you're in Paris or Tokyo, part of the culture is having longer commutes. So your host family might be, about an hour commute away. They'll help you learn that commute and take you the first couple days until you're feeling comfortable doing that on your own. But our local teams spend a lot of time getting to know them. We will do the local equivalent of a background check for any family members who live full-time at the house who are over 18. And then they're making sure that these families are really motivated by the cultural exchange. They want to be, having family dinner with their students every night and having conversations and learning about their culture and practicing the language. The host families also go through an orientation, so they learn about the role that they play in language acquisition and cultural immersion, the schedule, the rules, how to check in and make sure students are making curfew, etc. Some of our host families, they will only host one CI student just because of the space that they have available. And other families have space in their home to host 3 or 2 or 4 students. If it's an older couple with grown children, they have 3 empty bedrooms. They might host several CI students. So our host families come in all different sizes and shapes, but they're all motivated by really wanting to welcome our students and give them the best summer and cultural experience they can. So our programs that are shared accommodations, so most of our thematic programs, with a few exceptions, are going to be in shared accommodations. This is typically a dorm, a hotel, or a hostel that caters towards youth that is high school age appropriate. So the program leaders on these programs live in the same accommodation. So instead of having the host families to check and make sure students have gone home by curfew and that they're doing well, the program leaders play that role. So they live at the same accommodations and are there for 24/7 support. We try to typically block like a hall of rooms or a floor, or group our students together. It depends a little bit just based off of the specific accommodations in each location, but we try and group our students together. And most of these accommodations will be shared. So anywhere from 2 to 4 students sharing a room, and we always try and have a private bathroom, not communal bathroom situations in these settings. And during the virtual orientation that you have with your local staff, they'll go over in a lot more detail what does the accommodation look like in Copenhagen, in Amsterdam for your specific program, share with you the website, share with you pictures, let you know what the layout is. So flights, and I saw a question too in the chat on flights. So please do not book your flight until you are given information from CA to do so. So we don't want anyone booking before you are officially enrolled and we give you all the info you need. So we always offer the option to fly with CIE staff or program leaders and other CIE students. That is what we call our chaperoned group flight. So those are going to be leaving from major US hubs, oftentimes JFK, Newark, Philly sometimes, or Dulles for East Coast, and sometimes LAX for West Coast, Houston sometimes for Latin America. It varies a little bit depending on where you live in the US and what country you're going to, what your gateway airport is. So you can expect that you might need to take the domestic leg to get, say, from Nashville to JFK alone. And then at JFK, you would meet up with the CIA students and the CIA chaperone and fly on the international portion of your trip together. So that is always an option. If your student is an independent, well-traveled student and you're confident in them traveling on their own, or you just want to prioritize the most direct route, that is fine. We have everyone book through our partner. They're called FlightFox, and they have all of our hub airports, all the airports that students need to arrive at, and the arrival windows. So the reason we ask you to book with FlightFox is so we make sure that you're arriving at the right airport in Paris at the right time for CIA staff to meet everyone, the group, and those who've traveled independently, meet everyone, gather all the students, and then go to start orientation or do host family introductions. So we'll share a lot more information on how to book and be here to support you with that later this winter and spring. So what we expect from students, these are academic programs. So we expect students to be curious, to be engaged, to be actively participating in class and asking questions. We make class really fun and interactive, and we ask that students are fully present, keeping in mind that they are ambassadors for their school, their home state, their home community. So being good visitors and being open-minded. Study abroad takes a lot of flexibility and being okay with being uncomfortable sometimes. That's when we grow. I know every time I travel, there's some situation where it's like a little uncomfortable. You grow, you learn about yourself, you become more independent. So that's what we want for our students in a supportive environment where they have the resources and the help that they need. So that's really what we expect from them. And to also be respectful to other students on the program. We have a strict no drinking, no drugs, no life-altering decisions policy. To us, it does not matter what the local law is in Germany. If you can drink legally in Germany, you cannot drink on our program. We want you to be fully present. If you're drinking, you're not making good decisions. You're not getting the most out of the program. So we have a strict no drinking rule, regardless of age. And again, they go over all this in orientation. So we recommend talking to students before they go really about what do they want to get out of this program? What are your goals? What do you want to achieve? How can you, take the most advantage of this opportunity? So we, CIE, will proactively communicate with you parents through a couple of means on our social medias. Our teams are really good about posting a lot when we have students on program, posting daily, so you can see photos and videos of what students are doing. We'll send you a weekly newsletter as well with program highlights, and we also write blogs on our website. And so we'll keep you informed, and then you can, set the expectation before your teen leaves about how often you want to check in, but really encouraging them to be present and kind of limit that time that they're spending interacting with folks back home. This is a great opportunity to meet friends from all over the US. We typically have students from 48 to 50 states represented every year. So in addition to the international experience, they're meeting friends from all over the US and having that cultural experience as well. So these are our key deadlines. We are accepting applications. If you're not applying for scholarships, we're reviewing and accepting those as they come in. January 18th, next Wednesday, is our scholarship deadline. So definitely write that down, remind your students. We're sending out emails as well with reminders. And then we need some time to review all of the applications. So we send our scholarship applications to an external review board who looks at the quality of those essays and the transcript and teacher recommendation that we discussed. And then they send the results to CIEE and we'll make awarding. So we need about a month to do that. So at the end of February, you can expect to receive from CIE an email communicating if your student was accepted to the program, what program they were accepted to, because remember, they're choosing top 3 choices if they're applying for that financial needs scholarship, and then the scholarship award amount. So at that time, the end of February, you'll be able to look at all that information, look at your budget, look at the cost of flights, look at your plans, and decide, are you going to commit to traveling this summer or not? And if you are going to commit and move forward, there'll be a $1,000 acceptance deposit due at that time. And then we'll work with you through the entire pre-departure process, all the way up until you're getting on the plane. So most folks have probably started an application, but here just quickly is the QR code if you have not. Please only start applications in the student's name. So if you accidentally started an application under your name as the guardian, email us. We can get everything switched over. We want to make sure we have the student information on the application. And then I'll leave up, this is our contact information. We are available. We love talking to students and parents. That is what we do. We know a ton of questions are going to come up throughout the process, so we are here to help with all of those questions that come up. And I'm going to take a second now to scroll through the chat and see if there's any big questions I can circle back to. One second. Let's see here. Go back to the top. Oh, a question about cell phones. Yes. So in the online orientation, we will give you instructions for cell phones. The best thing to do is travel with a cell phone that is unlocked, so that CIE will provide either a local phone that just does like texting and calling, or a local SIM card, again, for texting and calling. It doesn't have a data plan, because the most important thing is that they can call program leaders, text their homestay, call CIE staff. But we'll get into that in the online orientation materials. But CIE does provide either a cell phone or a SIM card for most of our programs. The one exception being Monteverde, Costa Rica, because it is remote. I was there this summer. We don't have cell service, but we have amazing Wi-Fi. So everyone just uses apps over Wi-Fi to communicate with folks back home. And then our CIE staff have satellite phones. Will you post the link for scholarship? Yes, let me share. Let me grab that. So when you start an application, you'll select the type of scholarship that you're interested in. So when students first create their account, they choose that merit scholarship or the financial need. And if after this, after this tonight's presentation or talking with your student, you realize you selected the wrong type, you want to change your option, contact us. We can help. But this is our scholarship website just for more information. So the question, actually, I'll talk about group size, and there was a question about a limit for specific, is there like a limit for high schools? So group size on these programs varies a lot depending on the program. Some of our leadership programs or our themed programs might be small, 10 to 20 students, and some of our really popular language programs, Barcelona comes to mind, Kyoto, might be 60 to 100 students. So our programs vary a lot in size, and we staff up with program leaders and CIE staff so that we still have that ratio of one program leader for every 12 CIE students. And then of course we hire more instructors to make sure we have the language classes are small, the thematic program content is small. So we adjust for program size. CIE does have a number of partner high schools, global navigator schools throughout the country. And some of those schools will have 10, 20, 30 students on CIE programs. So there's not a specific limit for those schools. I would say kind of organically, you know, you're not going to have an entire school go abroad at once. It's not an opportunity for everyone. But some of our schools have pretty good sized cohorts that go across all CIE programs. Yes. So yeah, there was a question about flights. Yes, we talked about the opportunity to fly either with a CIE chaperone flight or on an independent itinerary. A lot of questions about our engineering program in the home of Airbus in Toulouse. We're super excited about that program. This is the first year we're running this one and really excited to have an engineering theme. Definitely give us a call and we can talk to you more about the specifics and all those great questions that you have for that program. There's a question about COVID. So I'll talk about that. All of our sites have a localized plan because countries are varying right now in terms of their requirements for if you do test positive, if you're symptomatic, etc. So our local teams all have a plan that they've worked with our health, safety, and security team to make sure it follows the local rules and it keeps folks safe. We ran programs in 2021. We ran programs all year in 2022. So we have had our fair share of students, catching COVID while on program, and we're able to support them. A lot of times that might look like, staying at the host family and for the days that you're symptomatic until you can get a negative test. That's going to depend a little bit on what's required by local laws. If you're required to get that negative test, or it's just once you're symptom free, you can go out again, but our team will be there to support them. If they're in, dorms or a hotel, make sure we're bringing folks nutritious meals, checking in on them, but keeping them safe, and them, separate or masked, whatever is appropriate. But we are well versed in that. And the same goes for, another illness that comes up, needing to go to the doctor. A program leader or CA staff member would always go with your student to the doctor, and that's a time where CA would communicate and just let you know, your child had cold symptoms, went to the doctor, there's a sinus infection, we got some medicine, things are taken care of, so we'll help through that. A question about requesting for, in terms of like host families, can you put in any specific requests? Once you are confirmed, part of the pre-departure process will be a homestay form. The most important things for us to know about are really health concerns. So dietary restrictions, making sure host families can accommodate them, pet allergies. Students can write if they would like to have, any preferences for having another CIE student or not, but we can't guarantee them because it is quite a matrix to find the host families and pair students. So it's possible you just need to be open to either scenario of having another CIE student at your home or not. And there's positives to both situation. If you're the only student at your host family, you're really not going to default to switching to English. You're going to be practicing the language more. And our host families, they know each other from orientation. So a lot of times they'll be able to know if there's, another host nearby. So you can meet up and walk to the study center and commute together with students who are close by. Yeah, a question about the global entrepreneurship program that is the multi-site. So going to Dublin, Copenhagen, and Berlin. And the same program leaders travel with those students throughout the whole program and the same instructors. So they have that continuity and really getting to know the students, and they travel across all three of those cities with the students. And Flightfox will help you with booking all of those different legs of travel. For the last part of that question, none of our thematic programs, unfortunately, are eligible for the college credit. It's just harder to demonstrate course by course the level of rigor that equates to college credit, where with the language and culture, we were able to work that out with Tulane. Yeah, a question about if a student applies for a scholarship, say they don't get a scholarship, what are your options then? So if you find out in February that you did not receive a scholarship, but if you are able to travel without a scholarship and you're still motivated to go abroad this year, we can absolutely talk to you about traveling without a scholarship. Would have a conversation just to find out what programs you are interested in and see if there's still availability and space. And then talk about, program tuition, cost of flights, and move forward from there with accepting students if you're still interested in going. Yeah, a question about what sets students apart. So our application reviewers, in those essays, it's really the quality of the application presented. So they're reading those 3 essays, looking for how completely did students answer the prompt. A lot of those essays are around motivations for studying abroad. What do you hope to get out of it? At times students overcame a challenge and what they learned about themselves. So they're looking at those essays for quality of writing, pay attention to grammar. Really though, making sure that you're answering all questions in the prompt is important. Transcripts, they'll look at the GPA and grades, and then the teacher recommendations. So getting some feedback about how students participate in class, how do they deal with feedback, how do they deal with challenges, and then moving from there. We don't have a specific GPA cutoff. I would say that the application is competitive, and most of our successful students are having a GPA, 3.0 or higher, but they're also looking holistically at the teacher recommendation and essays as well. A question around, do we run out of room on programs? So some of our most popular programs, yes. So if you are interested in Japan, for example, we unfortunately cannot send 500, 400, students to Kyoto. Would totally overrun the city. So there are programs that we will reach capacity on, and that's why we're asking for second and third choices, so that if we are no longer able to accept students to Kyoto, we'll look at your second and third options and move students to one of those other programs. So all of our locations are amazing. You can't go wrong. So in picking those 3 programs, I just recommend doing some research and picking 3 programs that you would be really excited to go to any of them and having that open frame of mind. Yes, a question around the difference in language levels for our language and culture programs, and then the standard language and culture versus the honors that we have. So Spanish and French, we have honors language programs, and they don't offer level 1. So they'll offer level 2, 3, and 4. All of our other locations also offer levels 2 and 3 and 4. And really, I would say the difference with the honors programs is for students who are committed to being in the target language 100% of the time. So all students will take a language pledge where we ask students to stay in the target language as much as possible. Inevitably, you're on a street art tour, you're having a good time, you're talking to your peer, maybe slipping back into English to chat about this really cool mural that you're seeing. So on our honors programs, we are really sticklers, and the students who go on our honors programs are really motivated to say, like, nope, I'm even going to speak to my peers in the target language. So in Spanish or French, I'm going to try and not talk to my peers in English. And I would say that's what really differentiates those. Will host families have Wi-Fi? Yes. Host families and our study centers will have Wi-Fi, so that's really the best way. Like I said, we'll do a local phone or a SIM card to communicate locally with program leaders, peers, host families. But the best way to stay in touch with folks back home is to use Wi-Fi at your host family or your dorm or hotel and the CA study center, and just use apps to communicate over Wi-Fi. Just skimming some more of the questions. Yes, all of our language and culture programs are eligible for college credit, all of the language and culture programs. Oh, a question about if you can drop your student off or pick them up. Yes, absolutely. So we ask that family does not visit during the program because we want students really focused on the program. It's going to fly by. Our days are pretty busy. We keep students pretty occupied. So we ask that family and friends don't visit during the program, but you are more than welcome to have a family vacation on either end. And when you're coming to the time to book flights and get ready for travel, we'll communicate with you, any special instructions around where to meet us if you're not flying in that day. So college credit, it will be up to your university that you end up going to if they will accept Tulane's college credits and how they'll apply them. Some schools will transfer them as gen ed or pass fail. It's really up to your college or university. So once you're accepted and enrolled in the future in your university, working with your advisor and your registrar to understand how you can apply those Tulane credits. If you already applied and you did not apply for the merit scholarship and you meant to, yes, please call us because you could still apply for a merit scholarship. There's a question. Yes, let me find, 1 second. I'm going to take a minute to find a resource for, there was a question about LGBTQ plus students and resources for just things to be aware of. So we have a really great website actually for diversity and inclusion that has city specific resources around different identities and what the local culture, how their customs and norms and perceptions are. So let me share with you this resource, and then certainly give us a call if you have any question. There's also an email on this website so you can reach our diversity and inclusion team. So 1 second, I'm just going to send this through. In the chat to everyone. It's a good one. Thank you for that question. And another webinar you were told you could possibly get more than 4 college credits. I am not familiar with that. Our agreement with Tulane is just for 4 college credits. A question about income thresholds for financial needs. So we do not have a specific cutoff for financial needs scholarships. So really we're looking at total income and number of household members, and then nationwide stats and research on cost of living, cost of raising a family. So scholarships could be, the amount of your scholarship, whether you get a scholarship or not, is based solely on the quality of the application. So our reviewers are not looking at financial information. They're just looking at the quality of the application, and then the students who earned a scholarship. Then we look at financials and we award anywhere from 10% to 100%. So if your student had a really terrific application, really strong student, we can see they're going to be a great fit for the program, but you did not demonstrate significant financial need, you could get a 10% scholarship or a 20% scholarship. We will not just, not award a scholarship because of the financial situation. It would just be, 10% or 20%, something like that. So I don't have a specific number I could give you, but we do a sliding scale. How long will it take to receive a decision? So if you've applied for a merit and financial needs scholarship, everyone will be finding out in February. End of February, if you applied without a scholarship, you should be receiving a decision in the next week or so. Question about laptops. We will let you know in orientation what you need to bring. Most programs, it is fine to just bring a cell phone or a tablet, and we'll continue to use Canvas, and you should be able to do most of your coursework there. But there's a few programs where it is helpful to have a laptop for projects, and we'll communicate that in orientation materials. Oh, let me see. There's a few really specific questions. So definitely give us a call if I haven't answered your question directly. For an IRS form that has student initials, that should be fine. Yeah, if you have the official IRS printout, that should be fine. Oh yeah, we have a parent of an alumni here, someone who went to Prague and loved it. Thank you so much for sharing that. That's awesome. Oh, a question about how long does it take to complete the application? You totally have time. You can complete the application in a week if the student really sits down and focuses on those essays, are really what's going to take you the longest. In terms of the teacher recommendation, I would recommend taking care of that as soon as possible tonight or tomorrow, and letting the teacher know that they should be receiving an email from CIE with instructions on how to complete their recommendation online, just so they're not waiting to the last minute and that teacher's pressed to turn it around quickly. You absolutely have time to complete by the scholarship deadline. It's not too cumbersome. Yes. So if you're not applying for a scholarship, do you still select 3 choices? And the answer is yes, you'll still complete. There's a task that has program choices and also your language experience, where we just ask, what languages have you taken, just for general information. And that's just good for us to have. It helps us see kind of what the trends are, what students are interested in terms of ranking those, and helps us for future years to know what we should be offering more of. And I think I hit most of the big questions. I know more will come up throughout the process. It's why we are here to help. We have a whole team of enrollment coordinators assigned to different states who are here to really help you and get your one-on-one questions answered. So please don't hesitate to contact us. And we will be sharing the recording again if you want to come back for any topics. But I really appreciate everyone's time. We ran over, but those were some great questions. I wanted to make sure we covered everything. So thank you all so much, and we look forward to receiving your students' applications and working with you to hopefully have a really tremendous summer experience. And thank you for trusting us with your students. We love what we do, and we're excited to have you here and look forward to working with you some more. Thank you all. Have a great night.
Thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great night.
Have a good night.